Hello, Reliability Gang. Welcome back to the Reliability Gang podcast. This is podcast number 2 of the Accelerate Series 26, and we have Vineet with us. How you keeping, Vineet? How's things?
Fantastic. Great. Will, thank you for inviting me again. This is great to be again with you here at Accelerate 26. Last year, we spent some great time, and I think the energy continues to be infectious.
How's the day been for you? How's the event been again? Just like so much energy.
It has been incredible, all the way from experienced professional talking about their experiences, the community building, the meeting with customers, with people like you from media. The energy has been fantastic. But more energizing has been meeting with a whole bunch of people from early in career, from Texas Technical School. They were here.
Oh, no, that was good.
We had a fantastic conversation about what is the next generation of technicians going to look for in our devices, in our services as they build their careers. And as you know, there is a big shortage of technical skills out there. And I'm so excited about the investments we're making in that space.
That kind of leads me to the next question, because obviously you look after the products, you look after kind of the innovation of them. And how do you do that with 2 different generations? Because we spoke yesterday about the different generations and reliability. But when you have to make a product that has to be designed for the older generation and the new generation, how do we make sure that you kind of get the best of both worlds? Because the new generation, they pick technology up fast. They
Absolutely.
quite like the touch screens. Everything's very interactive.
Yeah.
Whereas we know the older generation, they like the buttons, they like these features and stuff like that. And, you know, it must be difficult for your job to be able to say, well, how do we create a product that still caters to the new innovation generation, but also still caters to the industry you've served for
Absolutely.
so long?
And there is no perfect answer to this one. One is there is always going to be inertia in the existing system. Whether it's new generation, existing generation, once you're used to using certain things in a certain way, it's like the shackles of the elephant that knows it can break it away, but it isn't because it's been trained that way. And then the new people who are coming into the workforce every day, they're the ones who are working on ChatGPT and AI and AR glasses. They want instant results. So there is going to be a transition, and that's why we have a roadmap. We don't want to give a culture shock to somebody. One of my mentors many years back said very beautifully that you have to change the organization at the rate at which you can tolerate. So
yes, culture thing again.
Culture thing. Culture becomes the fundamental thing. So how do we make sure we are showing the value of these technological changes to the existing people by doing experiments, showing pilots? That's what we're doing, especially on AI experiments with our existing employees, our existing customers. We're showing them, hey, here is how you can do things slightly differently, but you get the same outcomes you want in the past. So how do
you do like testing with your employees and from different generations as well?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
You've got some, very.
And if you look at a technical force, most of our, especially technical customers, are aging, and new people are coming in with these expectations of fast results. How do we bridge the gap? But we want to make sure, especially in the world of reliability we are in, we don't have the ability to accept hallucination, generative AI technology, right? A volt has to be a volt. If there is a shock that hurts somebody, that is not acceptable to us as a company.
Yeah, because that's hard. That's where you've really got to balance it out. And, you know, thinking for me, even from our service-based business, in terms of how do we actually even report to people? You know, the older generation probably wants the PDF report and they want to file it away in their folders, and they want to have, we've got an older engineering manager that we work with. He is so good. It's very different though. He doesn't really like the CMMS and all the portals and all the rest of it. And he likes to keep everything folderized, just a bit like you've got a filing cabinet with everything completely. And it works for him. But then we've got the new engineering managers that really love the pools. They want to see things quite quickly, and they don't want to see all of the data, but they want to kind of see the value-driven opportunities and what the value is out of it, opposed to hiding things away. So it's really difficult to be able to cater to both, and I can see that could be a bit of a challenge for a product company, especially. You know,
absolutely, and especially if you look at Fluke's history, we've been around for 78 years, and we've had all the way from the ultimate analog products to the most digital products.
Yeah, of course, and the multimeters, the reference multimeters to the new ones that now have Bluetooth that you can, log straight to the CMMS system.
And that goes back to your metaphor of folders. It's the same thing. We have customers, employees who are saving the data, logging in on their computers. But when you show them the value that when you attach new technology, your ability to analyze that data in a much faster way, because right now they're sitting in files. You scan them, put them in an Excel sheet, analyze the data. That's one. So the analysis becomes easier, which means pattern recognition, ability to understand insights from the data becomes easier, number one. The second one is sharing, because the power of most of the ecosystems, especially connected reliability, is the network effect of the connected ecosystem. So if your data is not connected, then you're looking at siloed information and optimizing locally. If you want to do a global optimization, you want to make sure that these silos are connected to each other.
So yeah, and that's kind of the revolution of AI, right? Because if we have data and it's separated, there's no way it can work in tandem. And we know for AI models to be successful that we need to take all of the data across a plant and be able to use it all together in one place, and then we can actually start to extract some extreme value out of it all. But I kind of feel like a lot of factories have the data, but you're right. How do we connect it all together? And if we haven't got a central CMMS or something that is actually able to collate that,
yes.
And this is why I'm really in alignment with Luke's vision, because I feel like the future requires that one place where we can hold this information. Because if we don't get there, the data that we have is not really going to do anything. It's not going to have any value for us, is it? So how do you always stay on that vision when you've got so many roadblocks in the way of doing that? Because I can imagine a lot of customers that you're dealing with may be using, for example, some alignment gear, but they might be using completely different vibration analysis equipment. And you might have a customer that might be using eMaint, for example, but they're using another supplier, because there's so many different suppliers of different equipment. How do we connect it all together if we're not in the same ecosystem?
Sure. Well, first of all, the challenge of this problem is twofold. One is, especially industrial ecosystem, is a mix of legacy and new, and a significant amount of legacy. So how do we make sure bringing the legacy people along as well, not legacy people, but legacy equipment, everything into the fold of this connected ecosystem?
Yeah.
That is one challenge. The second one is the clock speed of the industry, especially in the space of reliability. We want to be fast, but sometimes the due diligence required to make sure you're meeting security, compliance, and all the requirements that are required for our industry. Unlike consumer electronics is much faster. You put a $20 Alexa and people are willing to buy it and try it and all that stuff. But for you to bring the same thing to the enterprise, you need to make sure you're meeting security requirements, meeting compliance and regulatory requirements in every market you operate. And then finally, there is no room for hallucination. Yeah. So the way we are approaching it is taking small experiments at a time, showing the value, testing them internally, and then we take it to our customers, do some pilot tests to see and refine our project.
Yeah, so it's like little mini pilot projects.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Otherwise, there is no way to launch a massive platform and be successful, because we want to iterate quickly and be able to be nimble.
Of course, and you have to think about some of the big products and things you do, and because you've got a very large user base for some of this, you don't want to get it wrong. And exactly. It's a risk, isn't it? It's like you always need to get it into play to see where the problems are, but you also need to play on the playing field where it's not impactful to your customers. And
yes,
I can see that could be really challenging for a business. But I think the way that you guys are doing it is very similar to like a reliability journey with the pilot projects. It's like,
yes,
if you want a company to buy into the reliability culture, if you can prove small little pilot projects and show them the little value pieces, they're more likely to be able to then move it forward in terms of, the culture and everything else. There's another question I really want to ask you, Vinit, as well, and I want to get your perspective on this one. We know that technology is moving fast. We know we've got this kind of accelerated technology where AI is becoming involved, and we've got lots of really cool things moving to the future, and it looks really optimistic. But we also have a really slow culture in certain plants and places where it doesn't align.
Yeah.
How do we get the culture part to speed up when it's such a longevity thing over how quick technology seems to be going faster and faster?
Sure.
As these things are kind of pulling away from each other, how do we ensure that, obviously we don't want to slow technology down, but we need to kind of make sure they meet? And how do we do that without impacting the technology revolution, but also trying to get this moving a bit faster?
Yeah, I think there are three pieces that I think of when we think about solving this problem. First is cultural piece. Which is making sure, for example, Fluke, culture is a big one. And one of the pillars is being humble and inquisitive and curious. It is important to understand the why of why we are doing things.
Yeah.
A lot of times we are stuck in our own shackles of assumptions that have been habits from the past. How do we make sure we're questioning and saying, can it be done differently and in a better way? The second one is, once we understand the why, we want to be able to take that as a small experiment to our customers and bring them along. And the third piece is outside of our control, but the market forces itself will consider, itself will make the change. Because the moment technology gets adopted fast, if you are one of those companies who's slow to adopt, there is a new startup company that is out there that is going to outcompete you. So if you have to be relevant, you have to figure out how to evolve fast.
Well, it's not that innovate. It's like Bob Iger said, isn't it? It's innovate or die. We have to get that moving. And I think that's one part of the culture part that I think companies need to adopt. If you're not thinking about new CMMS systems and how that all integrates and how you connect things, if you're not thinking about the latest technology and how we can protect our plants, are your competitors doing that? And if they are,
yes,
then the likelihood is they're going to be ahead of you. So I think now it becomes down to actually not the fact of being ignorant, it comes down to survival now.
Absolutely. Survival and relevance.
Yeah, we are competing in this market, regardless of what manufacturing company you are. You've got competitors out there probably making the same product. So we have to think about that whole part of it. It's, you know, if you're not willing to start adopting some of these ideas, it's going to impact you in the future. And we, you know, we need to start really thinking about how we adopt this new technology and how we adopt everything, you know, moving forward. You know?
Absolutely. And there are so many vectors around this. Like people are innovating on business models. Somebody's doing cheap hardware and heavy software. Somebody's doing something else. Like Microsoft commoditized hardware in the 90s. Today, AI is commoditizing software and hardware is becoming a new cool thing. So things are changing very fast.
Yeah, they're flipping around. That's very interesting you say that, actually. Yeah. And do you feel like these different things are coming full circle? Do you feel like, you know, when something really kicks off like AI and you talk about the hardware element now, do you feel like people want that again a little bit? Because, you know, remember the days when you used to buy, you know, your Sony, you remember the Sony Discmans, and you used to feel so cool with that around your waist with a disc in it, but you look so ridiculous, you know what I mean, with the headphones on and everything.
Absolutely.
But now we're kind of seeing the digital revolution with music, and now everyone's on your phone and you can't see it. But we're now seeing vinyl come back again. We're seeing these things that, like I went into HMV the other day and there was all this vinyl and I had all these tape players, and it's come back in.
Sure.
Do you feel like we go through these generational things of people wanting the past as well again, and how do we make them things relevant?
Yeah, I believe there will always be a small segment of people who will want retro. For example, there are art collectors who still want Van Gogh, and somebody in the new world might say, I need a blend of Van Gogh and Leonardo da Vinci and create something different. So I think there will always be a customer, like every stock has a customer, but will it be the mainstream? That's a key question to ask.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm just trying to, you know, get your perspective on that, because it does seem to, you know, what we do seem to do is when the technology gets adopted and there's a mass adoption, you get a few people wanting to go back again. So like, is this really the way forward?
It's true. So for example, I have a rotary dial phone from like old British times in my home. Okay. I love it as a collector. We can actually dial it. And I remember one of my nephews first came and was like, why doesn't the buttons press on this one? So it's funny. But the thing is, I mean, there are some people who like to collect it and keep it, but that's not the mainstream.
Yeah, it's not the mainstream.
Because the connected nature and the value add that you get from the ecosystem is going to be much larger than
that smaller. Because I think you could probably attribute the same to products, can't you? Because nowadays a lot of products can connect to your phone, and a lot of the technologies in the sensor, not the actual hardware. So I'll give you an example with vibration data collectors. You know, before you'd have an actual collector and all the rest of it. Now, for example, the rotor line, you can connect to your phone. The technology is actually in the sensors. It's not essentially in the unit that you're displaying on.
Absolutely.
And now that is kind of, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know how I feel about spending all this money, but you're not spending money on the tablet bit. You're spending it on the actual sensors. So it's also how we attribute our mindset to value, of perceived value of what we're actually buying, and not actually, it's not materialistic really. It's more in what does this product do for me?
Absolutely.
What the outcome for the product
and that's a great way you said it, because what we want to focus on is job to be done by the customer.
Yeah.
Instead of what technology is being used and how do we doing it. Because once you abstract to the jobs to be done level, then you're going to find solutions that are optimal. Like for example, I used to be a photographer as a growing up kid. I had like 3 different SLRs. I still have them, but I use them once a year maybe.
Yeah.
But otherwise I have my phone with me. It does the job to be done. But for specific things, I might take it out, but still have it. But is the market big enough to have a large marketplace for cameras? Probably that is shrinked.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, even these devices here that I've got, these 2 DJIs, phenomenal products, because what it's allowed us to do is portability. You know, when you're carrying a huge camera around, it's a little bit too visible. Whereas this, you can pop it in your pocket, and it allows you also to be able to switch it long ways. If you want to do a YouTube video or you want to do short form content, we can switch it. These are the innovative products that I love. I know what you mean in the sense I've got a nice, expensive Sony camera that you still can't sometimes replace the feeling of what that is. But I do feel that you're right in terms of that convenience is still outweighs the value of having something that is sentimental. But I think I suppose it's the new way of trying to love our products and love the innovation that it kind of brings through everything of that with what we're doing as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Vinit, I want one last question. If you had any advice to anyone coming into the industry or anyone that is looking for, you know, a career in reliability or a career in, you know, product design or whatever, what advice would you give them to make sure they have a happy, successful career? 3
things. The third one is around career. First 2 are be curious.
Yeah.
And second, first one is be curious. Second one is take ownership. Curiosity is a underrated skill. The ability to get into any situation, understand what's going on, dive deep into it. Because the moment you understand the basics, and if you can communicate in a simple manner, you've truly understood the situation. So one is be curious so that you can really understand the why behind something is done. The second one is taking ownership, especially people coming into the new careers. That you will come into some department in the early stage of your career. And all innovation happens at the intersection of different functions. And if you're not looking cross functions and taking ownership, then you're going to be best at making the next cookie, but not looking at making a cookie factory.
Yeah, I see.
So how you make sure
you're undershooting yourself.
Ownership.
Yeah, ownership.
And the last piece is career. If you have the first two right and know that the career is never a linear graph, you have to follow your passion, build on it, and then sometimes things will not be right, and sometimes you'll have to take a detour. But it's part of the journey.
Yeah.
But if you expect that next year I want to be the senior manager, third year I want to be president,
it doesn't happen that way.
It doesn't happen that way. So being cognizant of that fact early on in your career gives you the flexibility to do the right things that make sense, that you feel like that's the right thing for your customer and you're passionate about it.
Thank you so much. That is a really, really good answer. I took a lot away from today, actually. That was a really great discussion. Thank you so much, Vineet, for your time. Incredible conversation, which I'm sure that everyone's really going to enjoy. So thank you, Vineet. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Bill, for having me. Yeah, thank you.